Okay, pressed record. All right. Just like you said, Nick, let's get right into it. All right. We are recording. Welcome to the Card Diary with Hobbyist Thompson. I am your host, Denny Cards, and thank you for tuning in because today we have a special guest, someone who I have nicknamed in my mind as the Card Millionaire. Also, I thought about the nickname the Card Dog Millionaire, like Slumdog Millionaire. I've also thought about the Million Card Man, like $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. And his actual name is Nick Sostak, who just 4 months ago made some hobby Instagram waves by documenting his purchase of 1 million cards. And a few weeks ago, I saw on Instagram that his journey with those cards may have come to an end. And I thought, if I want an expert to talk about buying and selling a million cards, who better than the man himself, Nick Sostak? So, welcome to the show, Nick.
Thank you so much for having me on. Really, really do appreciate it. Looking forward to get into how I got rid of the million cards, how I acquired the million cards, anything else that we're going to talk about hobby wise, personal life wise. I'm an open book today, and
Yes.
I'm really happy to be on. I think that this podcast has a lot of growth. Like I said beforehand, I think you give a different perspective than a lot of other people in the hobby, and I'm excited to get into this.
Awesome. Well, everyone's got a price for the million card man. So the rapid fire to warm you up. I have some tags or hats or labels, and you just tell me yes or no, and then we can get into it a little bit more. So, collector,
Yes,
eBay seller,
yes,
content creator,
100%. Yes.
breaker,
No.
Instagrammer,
Yes.
whatnot seller,
No.
mm,
No,
custom.
not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay, got it. Custom card artist.
No. My art skills are not there.
Gotcha. I'm gonna make some content about that later, and in a future episode we'll be talking about that. So can I ask you? And I had the opportunity to talk to you for about a few minutes before we start press record, and I asked you, like I was like I can't wait to talk to you, and I said you are definitely the youngest guest I have. I mean I've only had two other guests before this, but I didn't want to ask you off camera because I wanted to give a genuine reaction. So how old are you?
So I just turned 22 this January. I recently last year when I was 21, I moved out. My dad decided to move in with his fiance, and I had the choice to either move in with them or go get my own place. And as I've learned in that year, it's not an easy process living by yourself, paying rent every month, making dinner every night, making breakfast, having bills to pay, cell phone, car insurance, gas, all that stuff. There's a lot of things that add up. But I'm very, very blessed and grateful to go through this right now. I mean, like I know that right now, like I'm struggling sometimes money wise. There's months that
Mm,
it's a little tighter than others, but
mm,
I'm really, really grateful for going through this experience because I think that in the long run, me starting off now, I kind of know finances a little bit better than some of my friends that may move out when they're 25, 26, 27. And I think I'm a little bit ahead of the game in that way.
So you're 22, you live by yourself, and cards is your full-time business. Like
Yes.
that is your livelihood.
Yes. Cards is what I do full time. I'm making a little bit of money content wise. Hopefully we'll make a lot more money in the future for that. I'm really
hmm
pushing content this summer. I'm going very, very hard in that. But yes, cards is how I'm making money full time right now.
I noticed when you said the meals you have to make, you mentioned breakfast and dinner, but no lunch. Is that intentional? Are you like I can't have lunch or?
I'm a lunch guy, but I'm a snack lunch guy. I'm a
Oh yeah.
I like to make a nice cucumber salad for lunch
There you
or
go.
snack on some hummus. I've gotten a lot more I've tried to get a lot more healthier in the last year, but at the same time, like my breakfasts are basic. I'll have two pieces of toast, my coffee, and then at night I'll have chicken and rice or some sort of protein, rice, vegetable. Try to keep it simple, try to keep it easy. I call myself the air fryer master. I'm
Mm.
really, really good with that thing. So yeah, I try to keep things simple, but still get my good meals in.
Yeah, let's just not talk about cards. Let's just talk about food. No, as an aside, I do have a question for you down the road that I'm going to tease now, which is I remember I really enjoy your content, and one of the things I notice is that are you asked the question to the viewer or the listener, which was, are you card fat? And then you just kind of mentioned what that was, and so I'll definitely talk about that in a bit because I want to get into this collection first. But before we get into that, I did want to ask you. So, what area of the country do you live in?
I am 10 minutes outside of the city of Chicago in a
Hmm.
in a town called LaGrange.
Okay.
Um, I used to live in Downers Grove. I went to Downers Grove South High School. I don't mind mentioning all this stuff because I'm like, I put my whole life out there. I really don't
Okay.
care if
Yeah.
people know where I mean, I would prefer if people don't show up at my doorstep,
Yeah,
but
no street addresses. Yeah,
my
please.
my, I don't really care if people know, "Hey, this is where I went to school." It was kinda weird.
Mhm.
Yesterday, I'm at a show. This guy shows me a video. It's of me at Walmart, and one of his buddies put in, like, his Snapchat group chat, "I saw a stack and sell at Walmart today." I'm like, "Well, that's kinda weird. I wish you woulda just came up to me," but I guess people know where I live, and I'm cool with that too, so.
Local celebrity. So, if you're close to Chicago, that means you're definitely going to national. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yes,
just
100%.
yeah. And you're gonna have me over, right? You're gonna make me chicken and rice, and I'm gonna like sleep in one of the. No, I do
That
have an
that couch is calling
Airbnb.
your name right
Yeah,
now.
thank you. Yeah, we didn't talk about that beforehand, but no, I booked my ticket to national last week. I have a Airbnb. I'm staying with adult friends. When I say I don't know, I say adult friends, but that was weird. But no, I appreciate you saying that I could crash on your couch. But no, I look forward to meeting you in national and a bunch of other folks. It's just going to be such a party, and it won't be my first. I went in 2012. That was my first one, and then I haven't been to one since. So I guess in a way it is like my first because one 11 years ago maybe doesn't count. So you're in the Chicago area, you're 22, you do cards full time. Can Before we get into the collection, can I ask you what type of sports or non-sports cards do you collect or transact in?
So, my collection wise is anything Chicago wise.
Hmm.
I like the Sox. The Sox are my main team. The Bulls kind of Blackhawks and Bears are
Hmm.
my main ones, and then anybody that I've met celebrity wise or athlete wise in real life.
Hmm.
So I've had a really positive interaction with Melvin Gordon. So I collect some of his stuff.
Hmm.
I've got a very close family friend, Dan Feeney, who plays for the Miami Dolphins, so I try to pick up any of his autos whenever I see him. And I'm still trying to do his contenders auto. So if you have the out of 25 or out of 23 cracked ice, let me know. I'm looking for that.
Okay.
And
Put it out into
yeah,
the world. Yep.
yeah, mainly just anything that I find cool. Also, like if I see like I saw the Batman movie last year, I picked up some Batman cards because I'm like, yeah, it's cool. So anything that catches my eye, honestly.
All right, I just got to ask you, your favorite Batman, the best Batman in your opinion.
Ooh. I like the one when I know this is very vague when he's like crawling out of that the bottom when he's
Oh
trapped.
yeah, yeah,
What's that?
yeah.
When it
It
not
was
the
like
is
the
that the
well.
gulag? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, no, he Bane put him in there with I mean, it was the Dark Knight Rises, I guess, and like all the guys are happy they're happy for him. He's like jumping out of there with a rope and he's like, climbing out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
And then
that
Bane's at like Heinz Field and he like tears that thing down, I think, or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Heinz Ward is like running through. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, that was actually real. That was a documentary, actually. That wasn't like special effects. That
Oh
was
wow.
straight up earthquake. He just like no, I'm just kidding. No, but when I said best Batman, like I was thinking like who is Christian Bale your favorite? Is it Michael Keaton? Is it Ben
I don't
Affleck?
I'm not a big actor fan. I don't
Okay,
really care.
Dark
I'm
Knight
not a guy
Rises.
that like rushes to the box office. I'm not a
Got
big
it.
movie guy. I'll see a
Got it.
movie every occasionally. I'm a big documentary guy, honestly. I've got one more episode left of the Conor McGregor documentary, so I kind of like watching
Mm,
stuff like that. I like Last Chance U was my favorite show that was on Netflix of all time.
mm.
Any sort of documentary sports wise, I'm usually watching.
So you collect UFC too then? Chicago
Yes.
Sox. I know there's big differences between White Sox and Cubs for the Chicago area, like South Side and all that. So
Yeah.
Sox, Bulls, Bears, Beats, Battlestar Galactica. That's an office joke, by the way. Sorry. UFC. Okay, sounds good. That's cool. So, um, I have you on here today. The claim to fame for you, at least in my opinion, from the way I found you was I was scrolling through my Instagram feed like I do every day, and it just stopped me, like just you in a U-Haul truck, and it's like I bought a million cards, and I'm like, what? Like I'm like, what are you talking about? So, I liked it, and then I was like, engaging with the post, and like you were just like answering back to people and being really nice. And um, I just wanted to ask you, actually, all right, hold on. I did say I was going to ask I've been putting up these chat GPT questions for my guests and then I never end up reading them. So here's the question I asked chat GPT. Maybe I should call it chat GPT, like CHAD. All right. So I asked Chad GPT, would you advise buying a million card collection? Chat GPT said, as an AI, I don't possess personal opinions or financial expertise. However, buying a million card collection is a significant investment, and whether it's advisable depends on several factors. Consider the condition, rarity, and market demand of the cards, as well as your own interest in collecting or potential resale value. It's generally a good idea to research and consult with experts in the field to make an informed decision. So, I guess my question to you is, Nick, did you consult with an expert in the field before making an informed decision?
I really didn't. I kind of so it's we'll go kind of all in on this. So basically, how it got reached out to me, and a subscriber of the channel reached out,
Hmm.
said that he just had picked up this collection from a guy in Dallas. He had never sold a card ever before on eBay. Didn't really know what he was getting himself into. He purchased the collection because he had bought a card on eBay. He had messaged the seller after like 4 or 5 days gone by, and he's like, "Hey, like, do you plan on shipping this item?" Gets a message back, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I have no idea where this card is. My husband suddenly passed away this week. He owned a card shop in the 90s. He's got all this stuff labeled, but I don't know where your card is. I like plan on closing the store down." Reached back out to get more information, finds out that she wants to sell it. He buys it off her. He's like, "Oh, this is going to be a fun time, cool time." Drives from Michigan all the way down to Dallas, picks up the collection, loads it into a U-Haul, brings it home. Gets it home, unloads it with his kids, and his wife is like, "What did you buy? Our whole garage is filled. Our whole basement is filled with cards." And she was like, not very happy with it. And then he emailed me and reached out, like, "Hey, like, my wife's not happy. I want to get rid of this." I kind of thought that it was like kind of trolling at first.
Hmm.
And then he sends me some pictures. I'm like, all right, like, maybe we'll go and see it. So me and my friend Mitchell, we went out, drove out there, didn't expect to even buy it. I thought that he was maybe just going to sell us a couple boxes,
Hmm.
and we agreed on a price, took some of it home, came back another day, loaded it up all in a U-Haul, started at 7 a.m. and got everything unloaded by 8 p.m. that night.
Wow, 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Yes. And the Michigan drive was
Ooh.
about 2 hours each way. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So before I hit record, I asked you, like the more details are better. Podcast, long form. I said, you know, paint us the word picture like you're Bob Ross. Get into those little trees if you want. Tell us about how you found this collection. Great details in there. Definitely sounded a little sus in the beginning with I can't find the card and my husband passed away. Like as we know, eBay sellers and buyers come up with the craziest excuses, especially involving like kids or pets or family members, like pressing bid or opening up their phones with face IDs. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just wild. So can I ask you? I really want to dive into this first with the buying and then with the selling. So um, that first shipment or that first batch that you picked up, like what did you find in there? Low end, high end, mid ends? Just kind of help us understand what you grabbed.
Yeah. So the first boxes that we brought home to paint the picture. Like we were driving a Lexus RX 350, so we didn't fit that many boxes in there.
I love
I'd
it.
probably say roughly 10, probably like 15, 20, 4, 5 rows, and
Mhm.
then like 2 or 3 2 rows.
Mhm.
There was 3 2 rows full of slabs,
Mhm.
some 5 rows full of patches and
Mhm.
autos, and the first process was just getting rid of all those slabs. So I ended up churning off all those slabs. Some of them I was like, okay, these go on eBay. These
Mhm.
I could sell to a guy that I know does whatnot. And this was at the
Mhm.
time when I'm like, all right, I'm done with whatnot because
Mhm.
I'm like, I just bought this massive collection. We can go into more detail about this with the live auction
Yeah,
platforms, but
with
it's
the
just a
selling
lot
part.
of it's a lot of time and it's a lot
Yeah.
of work. And if I'm going
Yeah.
to be doing this collection, I can't be doing both.
Absolutely.
So the most expensive stuff I was finding triple autos of from triple threads,
Mhm.
David Wright, Pedro Martinez, and Zach Wheeler. There's
Mm.
like some really really cool triple thread stuff. I ended up getting rid of. I think the most expensive card we found I want to say Travis Kelsey numbered rookie. It was pretty low numbered. We got a couple $100 for that.
Mhm.
There wasn't much that it was like, whoa, we just got $1,000 on that. But
Okay.
there was like we go through a box and we found a whole row of Aaron Donald Topps Chrome rookies, which is
Mm.
like 400 of them. And if those are $5 a piece, that's 2 grand right there. So that
Got
it
it.
wasn't so much like, ooh, I got a big piece of card that goes for 2 grand right here,
Mhm.
but there was the
Mhm.
quantity and of
Yeah.
guys that I'm like, okay, these sell really well. We can get rid of these pretty easily.
Yeah. So you mentioned some baseball players, a football player. As the basketball guy, I do have to ask, any basketball, soccer, UFC, things you collect, non-sports cards? What about
Yeah,
those?
there was some like I've actually got like one little pile that I have to list tonight that I forgot was even on the box, but like found some like Game of Thrones kind of stuff.
Game of
That's
Thrones.
non-sport stuff.
Mhm.
Uh basketball wise, found some 86 87 Fleer. None of the big names. I mean,
Mhm.
we sold a couple Magic Johnsons from 86 Fleer,
Mhm.
sold some Kareems, graded some stuff. A lot of the money was
Mhm.
made in the grading of the cards because some of them were in pretty good condition. The guy just it seemed like he didn't do much grading.
Mhm.
So getting those I'm trying to think of a rookie. There was no Giannis's, unfortunately, but
Mm.
I'm trying to think of some like big basketball guys that came on late. I'm mainly thinking of the football guys because there was tons of Kelsey's,
Got
tons
it.
of Darnold's or Donald.
Donald, yeah.
Yeah.
Sam
And
Darnold, not as good as Aaron Donald.
yeah, so there was a bunch of like guys that were late risers
Yeah.
that was probably put in a box, and the guy probably ripped tons and tons of Bowman Chrome, Topps Chrome back in the day. And was
Mm.
like, I don't, this guy's not hot right now, and now he's hot today.
Yeah, so, I gotta ask about the condition of the cards because, I wrote down in my notes here that, I'm gonna talk about this in a future episode, but, King of Collectibles, the Golden Touch, Netflix, Ken Golden, all that. So I remember this one collection in King of Collectibles, there's like 4,000,000 cards. I don't know, have you seen the show?
I have not.
Okay, gotcha.
It's
Um,
the one with Golden, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Ken
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Golden and the Golden Empire. So, I mean, 4,000,000 cards. I mean, that's 3,000,000 more than that you procured. But the first thing when I saw it, because they were all up in this guy's attic and they were trying to figure out, like how to, how much of this does he want to eventually sell and consign. So when I see cards in an attic, I immediately think of humidity and humidity damage and worry. I think that maybe that attic, I think maybe I was kind of like pausing the video and rewinding because I was like, wait a minute, is that like ventilated? Is that air conditioned or like, HVAC connected? Those are things that go through your mind, right? Now that I'm in cards, like before I would like not care, but now I'm like, wait, humidity. Let me think about that. So because let me just share that as someone who did stash his old collections in attics, I thought that my cards were in perfect condition. corners, centering, surface, everything looked good. And then I would submit to PSA, and then I would get nines. And we all know about like Michael Jordan pop control of PSA, whether that's conspiracy or not, who knows? But I would get these cards back as nines, and I'm like, why? Why is that the case? They look perfect. Everything looks perfect about these cards. They should be gem. And I thought, maybe the edges with humidity, like curling up just enough where the edges got maybe dinged. I thought that's got to be the only reason, because everything else looked so good with these cards. So the condition of these cards, when you have 4 or 5 row the BCWs or the white boxes, they were all penny sleeved. Were they all in good condition?
So there was some stuff that was penny sleeved, but you gotta like the main thing is this guy had, to put it in perspective, tons of 2012 to 2018 Bowman and
Mm,
Bowman Chrome of baseball,
mm-hmm,
and this the sleeved or top loaded stuff was
mm-hmm.
mainly of players that were good at that time. So Gordon Beckham was the top prospect coming out in I think 2010 Bowman Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
Who turned out to be the best? Mike Trout. So I,
Mm,
I didn't find Mike Trout in there, but you got to think, all right, back in the day, Jameis Winston stuff was crazy expensive. Marcus Mariota was crazy expensive. So that stuff we would find in a top loader, and then you'd find unsleeved of big name guys that it's like, well, why is this not sleeved? Well, and then I would think to myself, well, back in the day, this was nothing. But
yeah.
thankfully, he didn't he kept very good care of his stuff,
Uh-huh.
and he had everything organized in a, we didn't end up finding the spreadsheet, unfortunately, but
Mm,
every box had a name,
mm-hmm.
every card had a if it was on eBay, this is what I think that he was doing. It had a serial number on, like a stickered serial number on the card. So he
Mm,
would pick up the card and he'd be like, okay, this is S1923. This is
mm-hmm.
going to this seller. That's what the biggest sellers kind of have to do on eBay, because they
Mm-hmm.
have to have it organized.
I'm so glad you said that, because that was going to be my next question. How was it all organized? I mean, there's so many ways to organize, and you see these value bins at shows where it's I mean, the simplest one is to sort it by sport, and then it's like, well, do you go by team? Do you go by player? I've actually had that discussion with other dealers when I would set up shop in like a local card show. People are like, hey, I was thinking about moving some cards around, and it's almost like we're all just finding reasons to flip through our cards. Like like we're trying to figure out, like, why is this not selling? Is it because people can't find their Hornets or their Lamella balls or Lonzo balls? Like, should I go by player name and all this stuff? So it's really interesting, that that, yeah, the serial numbered, or the organization is so important for the seller. And for a million cards, it's got to be 1,000 times more important than someone who has like 100. I don't even know if the math works on that. But so did you re-serialize number things, or did you keep it the way that he had it?
I kept it the way that he had it. The stuff that went on eBay, the way that I sort my eBay boxes, I will sort it by sport.
Mm-hmm.
By the front of my boxes are all sorted by autos and patches, and the back are sorted by rookies and serial numbered of non-rookies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the way that I sort it, in two row, 3 row, or 4 row boxes, depending on how much I have of that particular sport.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when I was dealing with his collection, it was a lot of reorganizing. Okay, pull this out. This needs to go on eBay, making just stacks of cards that'll go on eBay, making stacks of, okay, this is what's going to come to the show.
Mm-hmm.
These are probably $3 cards. We could list them, but how much is my time worth? Is it worth listing a $3 card on eBay if
Mm.
we've got all this other stuff that we got to go through? Or is it just, let's throw it in the dollar bin, let someone else make money on it? They're
Yeah.
happy because they made some money. We're happy because we got rid of the card. And
Right.
we're also happy because you're going to come back to my table the next time because you got something good.
Right. Right. So that long-term relationship, not just viewing it as a one-time transactional thing, but more of like building a relationship.
Oh, that's, I mean, when I first got started in the hobby in 20, my first show I want to say was like 2013, 2012.
So when you were in diapers, basically, I mean,
Yeah.
this is like nuts, but
When I
yes.
was 10, 11,
Oh my,
I
yeah,
remember just like I was thinking that these transactions was like I buy this card off someone and I never see him again,
yeah.
and like, ooh, I got a really good deal. Like maybe I fleeced him on this. Like I don't ever have to see him again. But now, like I'm a show goer. I go to shows every weekend, 2 times a weekend. Sometimes if there's a Friday show, 3 times a weekend. The
Mm,
relationships are everything that you
mm-hmm,
have.
mm-hmm,
You break a relationship, you can break relationships with 5, 6, 7, 8 people because that person that you broke the relationship tells those 8 people and it's over.
yeah.
So relationships are everything in this industry. I've learned it's a lot of relationships in every business, but this industry, it's so much more just because it's such a tight-knit industry and it's not hard for something to get around the room and people to hear something and then it
Mm-hmm.
gets over to the other side of the room and they hear it too.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. So I definitely want to talk about setting up as a dealer, but when it comes to selling this collection, um, we talked about you mentioned that you were on Whatnot and then you got off that. So eBay, Whatnot, selling at shows, right? So how much
Yes.
of each would you say this collection went towards selling? Because I guess we've transitioned from the buying part to the selling part. But could
Yeah.
you talk about, like, if the million cards is like a pie, or like 100%, how much percentage is those three and other avenues that I haven't even mentioned?
Yeah, so I would probably put 30% into dealing with local shops
Mm-hmm.
because not a large portion, but I'd say 35% of the money that we made back was just in supplies
Mm,
because this guy
mm,
had top loaders, sleeves, one touches,
mm-hmm,
bubble mailers, all this
mm,
stuff just built up, and there was tons of it. And like, I probably could have kept it and used it over time, but
mm-hmm.
I'm looking to make my money as fast as possible, and
Right.
I'm not looking for a long dime. I'm looking for a quick nickel. I'm looking to make my money as quick as
Oh,
possible. So
that's a clip.
what I was doing was I would take supplies
Mm-hmm.
and yes, a shop is always going to be able to sell top loaders, always going to be able to sell sleeves. I could sell it to them, and they would probably buy it at 70% of whatever they're buying it from their dealer net or wherever they're getting their stuff from.
Mm-hmm.
But me, what I would do, I would trade it. So I'd be like, okay, we've got $2,000 worth of cards right here. What are
Mm,
like $2,000 cards that I can get if that's a Jackie Robinson, if that's a Willie Mays, if that's a hot quarterback right now? What can I
mm-hmm.
get that I could flip and make $1,700 on the two if I want to flip them at 85, 90% quickly compared to taking that 70% cash from you? Like, are you okay with that? And most shops are because they're like, well, we're gonna need it at some point. We're gonna use
Yeah,
it at some point. We don't mind taking that in. And
that's
then
ing
I yeah, go. We could talk about that right now, but
No, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just like, that's ingenious. That I've actually never heard of someone trading bulk supplies for cards. So I don't want to. I mean, keep cooking, please. Resume.
I'd probably say another 30% is
Mm-hmm.
from shows,
Mm-hmm.
selling the dollar box stuff,
Mm-hmm.
selling the individual cards at shows. Um, I'm just like, you know what? Let's if we could pocket some of this cash. I don't like to leave a show with cash. I like to spend that cash by the end of the show and then use that inventory to either trade into something, trade out of something,
Mm,
or list that on eBay. Take all those dollar card money that I get and turn it into one $400 Desmond Ritter auto or a Fields auto that I know that I can move at the next show. Not just go home with money in my pocket because my money can't work for me. I mean, it can, but it's just sitting there. That's $400. It's not turning into anything. My 400 buying a card could sometimes turn into 450.
Nick, this is where there's a big difference between being 22 and 40. You don't have a girlfriend. I mean, like, sorry. I just want to ask, do you have a significant other or?
No,
Okay.
I am single and very happy about it right now. I am very grateful that I could be as selfish as possible right now, that I don't have my people that I love are my mom, my dad, my sister, and
There you
a
go.
couple close friends,
Yeah.
and my dog, and that's all I really gotta
Oh, you have a
worry about,
dog.
and I don't even live
Yes.
with those people anymore. So, yeah, I could be as selfish as possible right now, which is nice.
The reason I ask is I've set up as a dealer at a show and I'll be gone from, with the driving distance, like let's say from like 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And my wife will ask me, "Hey, how was the show?" I was like, "Oh, it was a lot of fun." I was like, "Well, how much money did you make?" And I'm like, "Uh, as a dealer, you buy cards at margin, like you have a table power." And she's like, "No, but how much money did you make?" And I'm like, "Well, okay, so here's the thing. I didn't make money. I actually ended up so then she was like, "You spent the entire day of a weekend and it was in order to sell cards, but you came back with a card." And I'm just like, "Oh no, like I messed up. I messed up." Like I can't like I want to explain it to her, but it's just so I guess what I'm saying is like that's awesome. Like the concept of not leaving a show with cash is really awesome. I have inadvertently done that, much to chagrin. And then there have been times when I'm like, I have to make something, or like, I mean, of course, you want to make your table fee, right? I want to talk about your local show in a bit here too, but there are definitely real costs and implicit costs when you set up. One of them really being time. Time is money,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so, but no, I joke, I wasn't like prying to see, what your relationship status was, but man, I'm telling you, like, enjoy that. I mean, again, it's your livelihood, right? Like me, like I'll definitely have fun in the hobby, and I'm trying to make some money on the side just to self fund the hobby, but I'm not reliant on the hobby money for rent where you are, right? So even though you say you don't want to leave a show with money, it's not that you're being fiscally irresponsible. It's that you are actually trying to get something liquid that you can turn into rent money in the future, right?
Yes. 100 it's okay. I mean, now I've got a couple other avenues. If that's buying on Facebook, buying on Discord, there's other avenues to buy. But
Hmm.
before I had those avenues, it's like, okay, I go home with this money in my pocket. What am I gonna be able to buy during the week? I've only got this many cards to list on eBay.
Hmm.
How am I gonna make more money during the week? Like, how am I get like I'm gonna have so much open time. Like, what am
Right.
I gonna do? Just spend those 4 days after I'm done listing, just making content? Like, I don't have enough ideas for that.
Right.
So it's
Right.
just like I need to buy more because I know that I can turn it. I look at my eBay sales every 2 weeks, every week, every month. I compare it month to month, and I'm like,
Mm.
"Okay, this is where my sales are. This is how much money I took out of the bank." And being
Mm.
able to be like, "Okay, I need to up the inventory. I need to buy more. I
Yeah.
can't just sit back and get lazy and sit at home and do nothing. I need to keep
Mm.
buying stuff and have more stuff to list on eBay because it's working."
Wow. Now we're doing real talk. Now we're doing like seller to seller type of talk. But you're like again like much more into it than I am. I'm almost like the tagline or the nickname I like to give myself, which is being like a jack of all trades, master of none. So I've done a bunch of little things here and there, and I've dabbled. So having said that, though, eBay 250 free listings, another 100 at like 30 cents, unless you get like the store and like you pay the monthly fee. Where are you as an eBay seller with that? Do you have a store? Do you have the USR or the TSTR, if you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know what I'm not exactly sure on that. I'm a I pay the pro version, which gets me
pro version.
500 listings a month.
Got
I
it.
probably don't even need that right now.
Okay.
Before I was using that, I'm thinking about like lowering my store down to whatever the a little bit over 250 is.
Mm-hmm.
But because I have not gone as heavy the last 2 months into the cards under $7.
Got
We
it.
can talk about this, but I have been
Yeah.
sending boatloads of cards to ComC right now, just because I'm like, okay, I've got this to do, I've got that to do. Do I really need to spend 4 hours of my day listing $4 cards?
mm,
And I look at by the end, all right, I just listed $600 worth of cards, but like I I feel like crap afterwards because like I'm like I listed all these cards and I didn't even really like. There's not even much money that I'm gonna make out of it.
right. It's a
It
grind.
makes no sense. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna make as much money,
Yeah.
but just give it to ComC. Let them deal with it. Let them upload it. It takes some time. But
Right.
my thing is all about time, money, happiness,
Right.
leaving myself some time during the day where I could go and I love frolfing. So give myself some time to go and do that and not just work, work, work all the time. I love to
Right.
work. I enjoy what I do, but give myself some free time as well.
Do you have like a record or like a personal best that you have in your mind of how many you've listed in one day? Because I'll share with you, like in about a maybe 1 hour time, and then like a little bit more for like drafts or uploading the photos. But like, I think about in an hour or two, I've listed up to like 50 listings in one day. And but after that, I'm like zapped. I'm like, my brain is just copy paste Excel, taking pictures. I don't use a scanner. Like I would love to get a Fujitsu scanner, but like those, like that's for someone who's like who wants to master eBay selling. And for me, I'm just taking pictures with my phone, and I'll just have an Excel spreadsheet, and I'll try to like make things as efficient as possible. But like, do you have a number in mind or a range?
I actually hit it last. Was it last Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
It was a grind of a day. It
Mm-hmm.
was 162 listings in one day.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I will say the good thing about it was a all PSA slab lot that I picked up,
Mm.
and it was all F1 Topps Chrome Sapphire. So it was a
Mm.
lot of I would make if this is a suggestion that I would make to anybody.
Yeah.
If you are listing um all Bowman Chrome or all Topps Chrome, just make a template and
Yeah.
then specialize that. Okay, Spencer Strider, Ronald Acuna, like
Mm-hmm.
differentiate. Don't have their name in that one and then having to delete it every time. Make the
Yeah.
template where you could just write the person's name in, write the number, have rookie card RC already in the title, and
Yeah.
you're good with that. It makes things, it speeds up the process. I've been selling on eBay since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing it a little bit. I picked up things along the way.
Yeah.
Item description automatically just paste there.
Yeah.
Um, Different things that I've got that being able to look up comps a little faster sometimes. And that was my personal best. I know some people that are even faster that use Card Dealer Pro, but
Yeah.
since I stopped dealing with the low end stuff, I just
Mm-hmm.
I use a Epson V600 scanner, so it's bringing
Mm.
down, scanning the front side, the back side, and it
Mm-hmm.
takes a little bit of time. And like you said, like you could drive yourself crazy if you do it for too long.
Yeah. So you do have a scanner, not an official sponsor, Epson. But what was that number again, though? Epson for my
Epson
own
V600. I'm not a
V600.
sponsor.
Yeah,
I'm learning now. I should have put an affiliate link in my Epson video because I could have made some money off of it.
yeah.
I'm
And for
I'm
the
I'm I'm
yeah, go
starting to
ahead.
learn these things that you can make money off some of these videos that I make.
Yeah, for
But
the people who are only listening to audio, though, Nick has now put on a hat from Epson, and he. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I gotta figure out how to get a bigger YouTube audience, because right now this is mainly for audio, and so I do like to stream. Right now we're on StreamYard, and we're doing I do plan to upload this to YouTube, but mainly so I can clip for Instagram for it. But
oh yeah.
yeah, but like let's talk about that. Like, so for me, YouTube, it's like it's just such a grind starting from zero. And for you, for eBay as a seller, like I think I did find your profile. You're over like 2,000 sales with like almost perfect like I was like, who is that 0.3% person who like gave you like some, it's probably some person who didn't like the shipping charge or something happened with postage. But my question to you is, you had to start from zero, and did you feel any hesitation when you started from zero to post some of your more better cards in order to build up that seller rating and reputation first? Because I know I have.
We're talking on eBay, correct?
Yes, eBay.
So to basically give a little synopsis on my eBay store. I did not start selling cards full time until 2021.
Okay.
And before that, I was what people would call a flipper. I would
Yeah.
go to Goodwill,
Mm,
Salvation Army,
mm.
um, garage sales, which go check out that new video. Very, very I think it's very
Okay.
informative on some stuff that you could find at garage sales. And if you got some extra time, I think
I
it's a
I'm
fun thing
I'll
to
put
do.
it in the I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
um
definitely.
I was really big on I was in this group called Flip Flip. We would buy things from retail stores like Target, Walmart
Mhm.
that they would have at either a low price or like a TikTok trend that went viral. Some things that just come to my mind. There was one Christmas. I don't know if it's when the show came out, but there was this thing called the Coco Melon JJ doll.
Mm.
Have you ever heard of Coco
Uh,
Melon?
so I've heard of it. I didn't know they had toys, but it makes sense because every show has toys. But no, I have not bought my kids when they were like younger Coco Melon. But yeah, tell me more about it.
Okay, so Coco Melon, like the baby, it was just the baby. And these things were $20 retail,
Uh-huh.
and I was selling them on Amazon 60 bucks a piece, on eBay 60 bucks a piece. And this is just me straight out of high school or in like right after I dropped out, just driving Target to Target, Walmart to Walmart, sometimes out of the state, looking on the Target app. Okay, they've got 6 available. I got to go to this store. They've got 4 available. I got to go to this store. I would order them online. I would wait until this. I
Mhm.
that was one specific product, but I was also selling Xboxes when those were really popular, PlayStations when
Mhm.
those were really popular, and I've kind of just built up my feedback from that, and then I'd probably say that was probably my first 700 feedback, and the last
Oh.
2 years is probably where I built up the last 1,400 feedback positive wise.
Gotcha. That makes total sense. Because I guess when we think about selling on eBay, I mean, yeah, you could sell anything. And I guess I have seen some people, their card seller profiles. They're like, "Hey, I got some Oakleys sunglasses. Do you want these Ray Bans? Do you want this random video game cartridge or whatever?" Right. So makes total sense. So you were selling video games. You were selling Coco Melon. And you did, like acknowledge that you were in for the flips and all that. I have so many questions from the last minute that you just spoke, but one of them is, do you see a lot of like your sell? And these are questions that I didn't have planned ahead of time, but just from the flow of conversation, like, did you have some flipper friends who have like left the hobby because of like the less of an arbitrage opportunity, like in this current market state?
Oh yeah, I've got a couple people that just come to the mind. I've got people that I've just maybe I've seen at a show once in the last year, and I'm like, "Where'd you go?"
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "I just lost so much money on this. I lost so much money on that." And I even
Mm-hmm.
know people that were in because I was at SneakerCon this last weekend. So many
Oh.
people that were in that and just got burned a couple times and were just like, "Yeah, this just isn't for me. I'm gonna go either go work the 9 to 5 or go and
Mm-hmm.
do uh go to school, whatever, and go and do that." And more power to you. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But what I've this is just my personal experience. I enjoy failing and learning from the failure and not so
Mm-hmm.
much just having things given to me and reading it in a book. Like reading it in a book's
Mm-hmm.
great. Like, all right, don't do this. But when you put your hand on the fire and you put it on the stove and you're like, damn, that's hot, you
Mm-hmm.
don't do it again. Instead of you
Mm-hmm.
read about it, sometimes you'll do it because you're like, oh, he's wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And then when you
Yeah.
go and do it, you're like, never making that mistake again.
Wow. Wow. I like that a lot. I mean, it is the classic example of the hand on the stove. But and this is a question that I didn't have prepared. And I wasn't, like I'm not looking to interview. Like, this is more of a. I'm trying to make these more of chats, but and not interviews. But of course, I'm the one asking questions because I want to learn more and have the audience learn more too. Um, but you did. opened the door to kind of like mentioning how you didn't finish school. So if it's okay for me to kind of like ask about that, I did notice in your Instagram that the popular weekend when people were graduating, you had posted about how you weren't graduating, and I thought it was a powerful post. I Instead of me trying to cobble together my memory of it, could you speak to the post that you made and just all your feelings around that moment?
Yeah. So, uh, brief synopsis. When I was 18, I went to Illinois State University for 1 semester. Before I even went there, I didn't even really want to go to school. It was my parents kind of pushing me like you're so smart. Like I've always been really smart, not so much good grades, but like if when I put the effort in, like I got A's. I had semesters where I got straight A's or straight A's and B's. But when I don't care is when things hit the fan and things don't go well. And I remember talking to my business teacher my freshman year, and I was just like, I'm not really happy here. Like, I don't like I'm an entrepreneurship major, and I'm
Mm,
surrounded by all people that all they want to do is just they want to work a 9 to 5 after this. And he's like, well, what's your gut telling you? I'm like, my gut's telling me that I'm not supposed to be here, that I'm supposed to be like going and experimenting and failing in the world.
mhm,
And he's like, well, then go chase your thing. Like, don't don't stick here just because your mom or your dad want you here. Go and chase your dream. And once they see that your dream is what you wanna go after, and if you put the effort in, they'll be happy for you if they're good parents, and thankfully they are. But I basically went there. I went to 1 semester of a community college. COVID hit, and my dad started to see that I was making some good money through flipping. I was able to put some money to the side. I bought a new car that I ended up totaling last year. Rest in peace to
oh
that
no,
27 Ford Fusion. But
oh
hey,
no.
we got a nice 2011 Toyota Camry right now, which is fine.
Okay,
But the
love the
we
details.
exactly. We
Yes.
but that next 3 years, I'm just experimenting, seeing what's going on. I'm always living in the moment.
Mhm,
I'm planning for the future, but at the same time, just like trying to fail, trying to experiment, trying to experience, and just like, can I come work for your shop for a day? I've worked for 3 or 4 different shops. Like, is this something that I wanna get into? Do I
mhm,
wanna stick in flipping sneakers? Do I wanna do this? Experiment in this? Do I want to I was working for a I was marketing for a landscaping company at one point. Do I wanna
mhm,
work in this the rest of my life? And just kinda touching different things. And then this last year when I'm like, "Damn, like, all my friends are graduating this year,"
mhm,
and it was like, I'll be honest, like, there was days when I'm like, well, like, all I've got to really show for is a couple thousand Instagram followers, and that's about it. Like, I don't have a piece of paper that says I do this very, very well, or I'm really, really good at this, and my friend's got a degree that shows, hey, like, I could sit in a classroom and learn and take in knowledge, and I can't do that. Like, what if this doesn't work out? What if
mhm.
what if what if what what if I fail and then 3 years I've got no money and I've got no place to go, and then I then bring myself back together, and I'm like, if that does happen in 3 years, I'm 25, I go back to school, I work a BS job for the next 30, 40 years of my life, and if that's what I gotta do, that's what I gotta do. But I would rather 50 years from now be able to turn on YouTube with my grandkids and be like, "You know what? When I was 20 to 25, I chased my dream, and you should too. You shouldn't just do what society tells you to do. Chase your thing, and if you put all your effort into it, it will work out. Maybe it won't, but at least you could go to sleep at night and be like, "You know what? I chased my thing, and I didn't listen to all the outside noise. I did what I wanted to do."
All right, so I guess I gotta go quit my job now. My 9 to 5 job. No, that was incredible. I loved that you are really pursuing your dreams and the passion you have for the cardboard is so prevalent. It's right there. And I mean, I have my mind is swimming, but especially like you're 22 and you have this perspective of like again, I've talked about coming back into cards as like, jokingly at first, my midlife crisis. You're like literally almost half my age. And here I am learning from you. And you're not even the next generation of the hobby. You are the current generation. You're just the younger part. And here you are just like I definitely by no means am glamorizing, like the like dropping out of school and all that, but like I give you so much props and credit for doing what you're doing and taking a huge leap of faith in yourself that I think a lot of people, I mean, I would say including myself, like I'll just say the word scared to do. So like really, really like my hat's off to you, literally and figuratively. My hat's off to you. Like that's real stuff, man. That is real stuff. I want to say we are around the 45-minute mark. Did you want to take a moment here to pause and I can edit this last part, or should we just power through?
I'm good. I'm good to go. I don't need no
Wow.
editing.
Okay,
Nice
I almost feel
water.
like I almost feel like I need a moment because I feel like what you just said was so moving and inspirational. So I'm looking at my notes. We'll just I won't cut any of this out, but I might make it into a two-parter. Um I mean, let me just ask you because I did have this in my notes and I was like, I don't know if he's going to want to answer it or not. We're not talking specific dollars and cents, but before we get to your local card show area and setting up as a dealer and all this other stuff with selling, um, I'm thinking a million cards, right? And then I'm like, well, not all of these cards are going to be a dollar. There are going to be some like 10 penny cards and 10-cent cards. And like you said, there's some that were sleeved and not sleeved and top loaded and not top loaded. I just want to ask you if you're comfortable in answering this million card collection. How much did it cost you? And then what was your exit strategy? Like, how much did you end up recouping of that?
Yeah, so this is the first time I'm gonna say it publicly. So it's coming out. So I ended up purchasing the collection for $12,000, split it 50-50 with someone, 6K a piece.
Hmm.
And roughly after all the PSA submissions, all the trades, all of that, we ended up doubling, making like total money 24,000. So we made $12,000.
Hmm.
It was for me, it was a lot of time and a lot of effort put in. So I don't know if it's something that I would do again for the
Hmm.
amount of time, the amount of effort,
Hmm.
but it was a great learning experience that only costed me $12,000, and I made some money on top, was able to
Right.
pay rent with it a couple months,
Hmm.
but I don't think I would do it again.
Okay. No, that's a great duality. It's like both can be true. You learned a lot. You really got an experience that like very few people ever get in the hobby. I mean, really, like a million cards, like that's insane. And then yet you wouldn't do it again. Like that's actually, that's not. I hope for people who are listening to this that it's not too hard to comprehend that those two can be true at the same time. So
Yes.
I really like my hats off to you. So how much though, um, like do you have any of those cards left? Did you keep any for your PC? Did you keep anything that you were like, I want to keep this for, a keepsake or memories?
So I will say we've got two pieces of memorabilia left. I've got a Brett Favre and a Troy Aikman signed jerseys that I honestly need to list on Facebook Marketplace because I don't want to ship them. We've got some Nolan Ryan signed pictures that I haven't gotten rid of. There's some
Hmm.
PC White Sox stuff that I pulled out. That's in my PC box.
Hmm.
In the I'm not going to say where in my house because
Yeah, don't
someone's
give
going to
your
break in
address.
and take it now.
Please don't. Yeah,
But
please.
it's somewhere. And then we've got I'd probably say 10 more dollar box cards,
Hmm.
$10 or 4-row dollar
Yeah,
boxes that I'm just putting out at shows, putting them at 50 cents, putting them at a quarter sometimes just because I'm like,
yeah,
get these out of my house. I'm done with
yeah,
these.
yeah.
But mostly done with everything. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're talking like over 90% just out of
Oh,
those
over
million cards.
99%.
Over 99. Yeah, I guess. What am I saying?
Yeah.
90% of a million card would still be like I won't even do the math like off the cuff, but
100,000.
wow, look at you. Oh my gosh, you are very good at you have to be with that many cards. So wow, incredible. So you're saying you doubled your initial investment, and I'm not trying to glamorize flipping or like I just want to get the perspective, but that's after fees. You said after grading, like that's all out. That's like net income, not like gross revenue. Oh, certainly not gross revenue, but like that's all out, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's
And
that's
I,
incredible.
I will say it was a little tough tracking things,
Mm,
but when you're like, all right, like this show we made this much, and we'd roughly keep, all right, this is
mm-hmm,
how much we made at this show, this is how much we made at that show, and then by the
mm-hmm,
end we're like, okay, this is the number that we ended up making.
yeah.
So it was a lot of time though, a lot of effort. Like I said, I wouldn't do it again just because I plan on doing a lot more in the future that's not gonna take up all my time in cards. And I want to
Mm-hmm,
do a lot more content wise. And I don't know if
mm-hmm.
that's all gonna be card content.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, all right, I wouldn't do this again.
Yeah, actually, can I ask you? I had just a note here, and it just says bobblehead. So I saw your very early content. So, I mean, maybe we just pivot to content right now, because I feel like we spoke so much about the collection, and thank you so much for all that insight. I
Right.
just don't want to like make this all because you're more than just that one collection. You have so much of a future ahead of you with the hobby and just in life that. I imagine that you don't want this to be your one. Right now, it may be your claim to fame, but I don't see that at all being like your legacy. I just feel see that this as like the stepping stone into greater things. And so bobbleheads though, you very early on in your social media posts, I think your first one I wrote down here July 21st, 2021. So almost 2 years from now.
We're getting close.
You yeah, like one of your early posts was talking about was it like Lorenzo Kane bobbleheads that you got one each person who came in through the stadium got a free one, and then you bought some off people. You got yours for free, and then you bought some others from people, and you flipped them online. And then I didn't check all your posts because that would have been taking too long. But like more recently, I saw that you were making content taking video of you transacting with people for their bobbleheads. That time, I'm sure it wasn't Lorenzo Kane. I forget who it was, but are you a collector of bobbleheads? Do you like to flip bobbleheads? And you're saying more than just cards. You want to do other things too.
Yeah, so I do collect. So usually when I do something like that, I will get the initial one that's just for me, and
Hmm.
then I will. So let's talk about the Lorenzo and the Eloy. I was going around the stadium. I know this may be sexist, but most of the girls that go to the game would rather have $10 in their pocket and go be able to buy a beer than whatever this random player's bobblehead is.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I mean, I will ask 10 guys and only one of them will sell me whatever that particular
There you go.
player are. I will ask 10 girls and 5 out of 10 will sell me the bobblehead because they're like, you know what? Like, it's free money. Like I walked in the stadium, I bought the ticket or my dad bought me the ticket and I can go buy a beer, I can go buy a hot dog now. Like I'm happy
Mm-hmm.
about it. So
Mm-hmm.
I will go to promotional games
Mm-hmm.
that will have promotional items. If that's bobbleheads, sometimes they'll have like jerseys or shirts that they're giving out, and
Mm-hmm.
try to buy them off people, pay for my ticket, pay for some more stuff, pay for gas, whatever, parking, make some money on top. That specific one, the Lorenzo Kane one, I think I ended up buying like 8 or 9 bobbleheads at $5 a piece.
Hmm.
We're selling them on eBay at like 25 to 30 a piece. So
Yeah.
that's like easy, like 4 or 5x right there.
Yeah.
Them paying shipping too. So it was just buying stuff, being able to flip it, go to the game for free. And I'm still doing that to this day as well.
That is awesome. I'm not trying to get into your. I'm not trying to give you a relationship advice as someone who's 40, but I feel like it would be really fun content. Maybe if you're like, hey, I'll give you my number for that bobblehead, and it's like,
Oh, that is
we
great idea.
there you go.
We could definitely
First
try
one's
that.
free. No, but those are just facts. I mean, again, I don't want to get into the whole like sexist stuff, and I'm not about any of that. And you know, there's so much toxic masculinity in the hobby and all that. But when it comes to you selling those are just your anecdotal data points, right? If you go to 10 guys, only one of them will sell it to you, and then you go to 10 girls, only like not only, but like half of them will sell it to you. Like that you just know your demographics at that point. You're just knowing your time is worth going up to the um to the women and being like, hey, like I know there's a 50-50 shot of this conversation leading to a bobblehead or a date with the phone number. But with the guys, it's like, you don't want to spend all your time asking all these guys if they're all going to say no, because they very well likely might keep it. So,
Yeah,
but that's really cool. So bobbleheads, you got some jerseys, cards is, the cardboard is what, I keep saying, like, that's what brings us together, but it's the relationships that keep us together and all that.
oh yeah.
So, let me ask you, with content, you've recently changed your Instagram handle from Stack and Sell, and in the intro to this episode, I mentioned how to spell it, so it's STAKN Sell, but now you've changed it to STAKN Sports. So could you tell me more about the decision to do that?
So me personally, I thought that the word sell was when you click on my page, you thought of me as a little bit of a salesman and I'm looking to sell you something, or I want you to or I want you to buy something off me, or I want to buy something off you. And sports, I thought when I made the decision, I was like, I can branch off and not in the future because I don't just I view cards as a stepping stone and still being able to stay in the hobby, but being able to go to games and go to a thing like SneakerCon and talk about sports there and not just be so stuck on the sales thing. And when someone clicks on the page, it's like, oh, he's trying to sell me something.
Hmm.
Now I want to be Nick Sostak, which is why the stack is and
Hmm.
sports stack
Right.
me Nick and sports. So it's
Right.
sports content that's
Hmm.
fun, that people enjoy. I like to ask people questions. At first, I was doing a lot more like my initial content was a lot of lecturing and not lecturing, but telling my takes, telling people how I feel about
Educating.
things. And
Yeah,
I'll
you're
still do that a
educating.
lot on my
Yeah.
stories, but now I
Yeah.
like to go around and ask people questions and get other people's opinions on things.
Hmm. So, I alluded to this at the beginning, but one of your recent content pieces, and I wouldn't say it's lecturing; it's like educating. You're sharing, right?
Yeah.
And I think I remember one interview you did where you said you actually wanted to be a teacher, right? Is that right?
Yes.
But
Yeah, yeah. I want to be a teacher when I was growing up.
yeah, and you're young enough where, I mean, whether it's hobby related or not, I mean, that's still an avenue to pursue. I think I've watched your stuff, and I feel like I've learned quite a bit of things. So speaking of one of those things, card fat. Can you explain that term to the listeners?
So I feel like sometimes people will, if you're a show goer, if you buy on whatnot, if you rip packs, you will accumulate. You'll buy a Wander Franco auto at $350. You'll get the card, you'll enjoy the card, and if you're a flipper like me, oh damn, there's a bad comp. There's a 320 comp. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm gonna hold it until that gets to 350.
Mm.
Oh my god, a new comp at 280?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hold a little longer, and then it's, oh, a new comp at 2. So you'll just keep watching this downward spiral, and
Mm.
you'll build up this massive amount of inventory of stuff like, oh, like I took a loss on this, but I'm not gonna take the loss in the selling of it. I'm gonna take the loss in just looking at it, and I know that I've lost money on it, but I'm not actually gonna sell it yet. So you'll
Mm.
accumulate all this inventory, or you'll accumulate something in a deal. You already made money on that deal. You've got one extra card left over, but you don't want to sell it for where the market is right now.
Hmm.
Me personally, I think that's being card fat, and the way that I trim card fat the last a couple weeks ago, I put a lot of stuff on eBay auction. I took a lot of
Hmm.
eBay offers that I'm like, all right, I bought this at 300, but it's 150 now. I'm gonna take
Mm.
a 150 offer on it. you take a loss on some things, and when I was telling a guy today, like, that's a tax write-off. Like,
Mm,
you gotta it's how you view it. It's, "Okay, can I learn from this? I don't buy this again. I know that I usually don't buy basketball and make money on it. I'm not a
mhm,
good basketball buyer. I'm not good at
mhm,
prospecting basketball. But
mhm,
hockey, I always make money on it because I know hockey really, really well."
mm,
So, learn your avenues, and when
yeah,
you screw up in something, it doesn't mean, like, don't try it again, but
mhm,
maybe don't put all your eggs in that basket again.
oh man, this is really good advice. So I again did not anticipate asking this question, but since you opened the door about taxes, you know, I feel like a whole nother episode could be done on that. But I wanted to ask you, are you an LLC then? Are you
Yes. Yes,
okay?
yes, yes.
And when it comes to eBay, buy it now, we all say bin, but buy it now versus auction. Could you kind of share with me and the listeners, but really me, when do you know when to go bin versus auction?
Me, I personally almost everything has been for me.
Got it.
The only time that I will put something on auction
Mhm,
is one, if I know, okay, next month I'm going to this big show and I do have all this inventory. None of it's going to move there. And I would rather all that inventory that I've got tied up, I'd rather turn it into cash because I think that that cash is more valuable at Dallas than having these cards set at home and me not have enough cash going there. I know there's
mhm,
people out there with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cash, and
yeah,
that's just not where I'm at right now. I'm not that cash rich,
mhm,
um, but I prefer putting everything on buy it now with best offer. I list most of my stuff 30% over market,
mhm,
accept offers, and I could always calm down. You can never go up in price when it comes to buy it now and best offer. So I
not at
always
all.
list a little bit high. I've got high feedback. I've got the same description. I always accept offers. This item ships this particular way. It ships these
Mhm,
days of the week. So I think I've got a good enough reputation on
yeah,
eBay that
yeah,
people can make an offer and they'll feel confident that I'll get back to them in a timely manner too.
that is awesome. So, bin is I gotta say, sometimes when I don't know the price of things, I'm just like, I just want to list it up and the market will tell me how much it costs. But it is a liquidity thing, right? I mean, auctions within 5 days, even if it's like, especially if it's like more than like a $10 card, if you list it at 99 cents, it's going to sell. And you're definitely getting some sort of money. You just don't know how much. But
Exactly.
with bin, it'll sit longer. But again, if it's priced well enough and you have a good reputation and you have buyers, potential buyers who maybe have saved you as a seller, who have perhaps, like yeah, we all have the safe searches and listing, certain ways. But once you become uh, good enough where people are expecting you to list things up and that you are a reputable seller who ships quickly and safely. By the way, I'm really sorry. I did notice a recent video where eBay authentication cracked a slab of yours. That was
Yes.
so sad. Either post office or PSA, right? We don't know who,
I don't
but
I don't know. That's honestly okay, probably not tonight, but that's my first phone call tomorrow to hopefully get that
yeah,
figured out. See if I get some sort of refund because
right.
you just can't I can't sell the card anymore. Like that it's
Right.
just
Oh,
no
yeah,
one's
and I'm
gonna buy it
sorry.
with that.
I didn't mean PSA. It was either eBay authentication services or the post office.
Yes, one of the two.
So one of your recent posts, again, stacking sports on Instagram, I was like, I was so bummed out. I was like, here is a process that I know I've appreciated because it may have prevented a fraudulent Jordan scoring kings, but no one asked for it, and now it's inserted in as a middleman, and it's just an extra step in the selling process where something could get again damaged, which in your case it did. So I'm really
So
sorry about that.
I really think so I think that it's a great idea. It really is.
Hmm.
But I think cards over 250 that are raw,
Hmm.
sure, they should go there.
Yeah.
But if it's like that Bobby Witt, it was like you're not getting that. Like I don't think anybody's like making that. I really don't
Hmm.
think anybody's making that. Maybe there is a company out there that that can dupe cards really, really well, but I just don't think so. And I get a lot of buyers that, I mean, I'm sorry, eBay, that deal with me off eBay because they don't wanna go through that process of waiting for their card for 2 weeks, a week and a
Mhm.
half, because they know that I'm reputable. I've
Mhm.
got these followers on Instagram. I've got this amount of people that save my eBay. I'm
Mhm.
reputable, I got 99% feedback. They're like, "I'd rather just go through you, pay a little cheaper with less fees, and not have to have it go through that process." I think it's so dumb, some of these cards like that was a $220 card, like,
Yeah.
do you really have to review that? Like, I understand the more expensive stuff and the raw stuff because, no, I don't wanna receive a jacked up Justin Fields kaboom that he
Yeah.
didn't specify the scratches, and then when it gets to me, I've gotta do a boxing match with eBay and tell them, "Hey,
Right.
like, this is all messed up." So I get it, but sometimes I'm like, "This just doesn't make sense."
Yes. So it wasn't a PSA holder, and the PSA slab is the part that cracked, and hopefully the card itself isn't damaged, but it very well maybe. I don't know if you tried opening it up. Maybe you want to preserve it the way it is for documentation purposes. Again, not telling you or advising you what to do, but it's a tricky process for sure. And I gotta say this. Speaking about like altered cards or cards that may not just come the way you thought. I've done my absolute best to not bring up specific cards, for my monologue episodes, for like the chapters and the card diary part of things. But with the conversations like this, you were mentioning specific cards, and I gotta say, currently, there is for sale a Kobe Bryant Superman out of 100 that it's very clear that the bottom left corner has was marked in by like a black marker, like a black Sharpie or a black tip marker, and that person is not divulging that on eBay, and it has
Oh,
like I forget what price it's at, but it has, more than a dozen bids. It's going up, and I'm just like, that card should they didn't divulge it in the description. Who knows if that buyer is gonna end up like, asking for a refund. But it's just sad that, yeah, there are some cards that should go through authentication, I think. Because yeah, that's not good.
that's it I mean, it's very clear that the card's altered, and hopefully when
Yeah.
it gets to eBay, they'll be like, "Alright, this is altered."
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, that's
Um,
very unfortunate, though.
yeah, but yeah, I'm really sorry about your sale. Just all that, just it is just extra headaches. But let's talk about, I guess, pivoting from online to in person. Like, as a seller, you do incur potential issues, like with electronic I mean, with online sales, it's the shipping part. But in a local show, it's not the shipping part. It's like you might have someone trying to steal your cards in front of you. Have you ever, like, I guess it's not like a fun thing, but do you have any any one particular horror story, or if not a horror story, like a fun story, just something that happened in a local show where you set up as a dealer that you want to share?
Okay, so couple things like most one the number one memory that just comes to mind, and it wasn't even a card that was stolen from me.
Hmm.
It was I was at the Arizona State show not this year, but last October, September, around that time.
Hmm.
And I had a kid come up to me selling me like probably like 10, 15 slabs.
Hmm.
And I mean, yeah, like most of the stuff was in that $20 to $50 range. Some stuff was in the $100 to $200 range. But
Hmm.
he was like so happy with getting 70% on everything. And I mean, like, some people are cool with that. Other people are like, I don't like, no,
Right.
like we're not doing that. But he
Right.
was just, yeah, let's do this. Like I'm trying to make my money and walk back around the show.
Hmm.
And there was a Derrick Rose BGS 10 rookie numbered. It was serial numbered that was sitting on my table. And this guy walks by and he starts yelling at me. I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, "You stole that damn card from me. It was in my box yesterday. I'm missing 20." And I'm like,
Whoa.
yo, like this kid is trying to sell these to me. I
Mhm.
didn't buy the cards yet. I haven't given him any sort of money yet.
Mhm.
Like I'm sorry. Like, and he's still yelling at me. And then he realizes it was this kid. They get security over. They kick him out of the show. He thankfully apologized to me, and he's like, "Hey, like, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to take it out on you. I thought it
Mhm.
was you. I shouldn't have assumed you so quickly.
Mhm.
And I really appreciate you like being cool about it and not like, I don't know, like blowing up at me." And I'm like, I, if I would have known they were stolen, I wouldn't have bought them.
Oh, totally.
It's I didn't know. And
Right.
I know tons of I've had other deals where I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, I bought a card and it was stolen. I found out it was stolen. I returned it to the guy. I lost $200, but I'd rather keep the relationship with the guy that the card got stolen from
Mhm.
than the $200. That's
Yeah.
the relationship's worth more than that to me personally.
That's really at some point someone has to stop the chain, and you to stop the chain there is was really is commendable. Did not anticipate that to be your story, but um thank you for sharing that. So two that I had was one, and I won't go into heavy detail, but I've seen dealers fall asleep at their own tables. I'm like, why did you even set up as a dealer? You're just like taking a nap.
Yeah.
Another one, and it was a kid, and some of these kids they need to be stopped. The trade up challenge. I'm just like these kids. I mean, I know it's closer to like your age and all that too, but I know this. There, no, you know what? I'm not gonna even mention. I was gonna go somewhere that I would have later regretted, so I won't go there. But there are some kids who are not kids. I mean, they walk around with heavy heat
Oh
in their
my god.
Zion cases.
It is like it like I had a 12-year-old in Arizona come up to
Yeah.
me with a Mahomes 101 Select Auto
Oh my gosh.
that he
Mhm.
bought on auction.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad lets me use his credit card.
Yeah, exactly.
$33,000.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'm
don't
like,
it's not even
what?
credit
Like,
limit.
he's like, my dad's teaching me business. That's not business skills. That is not business skills.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the reason I am not like, we could go into the trade up challenge. I'm gonna go into it, whatever.
Let's do
I,
it. Let's do
I
it.
don't like the trade up challenge
Yeah.
because if you have to say, "Hey, I'm doing the trade up challenge," then you
Mhm.
no. Like, I don't think you should have to do that. I understand, like, I've seen people take a penny, turn it into this, turn it into that, but I don't think you should have to give them the whole rundown like, "Hey, I'm doing the trade up challenge."
Mhm.
If someone's down to do a trade, they're down to do a trade. And
Mhm.
I do trades with kids all day. I did probably 5 trades with kids today. And
Mhm.
and do I lose on most of them? Yeah. But I kinda bake that into my cost of going to a show, and I
Wow.
also look at it as that kid, if that's his first deal that he does with me, follows me on Instagram, he'll
Mhm.
remember me forever. So
Right.
that $2 loss, I remember the guy that I bought a, Connor McDavid auto when I was a kid at a really good price. I remember that guy. I still see him at shows. So
Mhm.
you remember those people that you do those first deals with, and I
Right.
bake in a $15 loss from kids sometimes for
Yeah.
shows. But
Yeah.
I'm doing the trade up challenge. I wanna go from this $2 card to that $10 card. No, I'm not doing that, okay? I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I don't like how this is there's some people that are like, "Oh, they're kids." Yes, but they should also have to learn the hard truth of
Mhm.
if you're going from $2, you're going from 2 to 4. You're not going from 2 to 10, 2 to 20. Sorry.
You mentioned select silver auto. I immediately thought about the silver spoon. It's like select silver, silver spoon. I am gonna have to think long and hard about whether I want to clip this and put the particular kid's face I have in mind, where this kid is not a kid. And I don't know if we're talking about the same kid, but there is this one particular kid who is very well known in the show community, and he just puts on the pretty please and the he puts on the charm, and people just eat it up. And I'm like, you know what? I I can't believe this is happening. I watch it and I'm just like it's like a horror movie. Like, don't do it. Like you're trying to tell the person like, don't go into that basement by yourself in the dark. It's like, don't make that trade or make that sale, but it happens, and I'm just like, man, this kid he's so good. It's so
I th-
bad. It's so good.
I think we're talking about the same kid,
Exactly.
and that same kid, YouTube short of mine, did
Hmm.
1,000,000 views. So
Yes.
yeah, it works. Like
Yeah.
people like, and you've got one side of the aisle that are like, he's a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
They
good
don't
that he's
know.
learning. And then the others, he's
Yeah.
not a dang
He's
kid. He's
not a kid.
scamming people, blah, 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 blah. And that's one thing that you'll learn from social media. People will type
Right.
the craziest
Oh
things,
yeah, they
but
will.
will never say it to your face in
Oh, of
person.
course.
Never.
Of course.
Never.
Well, if I do meet that kid in national, I will shake his hand and I will say, you're so good and you're so bad." Like you are like the he that kid. I got to give him props. I got to give him props. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and hey, anyone who has a competitive advantage in life, nothing's giving to you. Well, I guess maybe you're giving dad's credit card, but nothing's given to you. You have to make the most out of your skill set or your competitive advantage. And so yeah, enough about that one particular person in the hobby. When it comes to your content creation, and kudos with getting 1 million views on that YouTube short. um what are your goals that you have? I mean, already, I'm very impressed by the output you have and the engagement that you get, and you are someone who people see your face and they know, right? I mean, it's like your Nick Sostak or your Stack and Sports, Stack and Sell. Um, do you have any particular goals with content for the rest of this year and beyond?
So I don't have like I'm not a big numbers guy. Like, hey, I want to hit this number. I used to
Mm-hmm.
like a couple years ago. I'm like, I want to hit 10K subs this year.
Mm-hmm.
And me, I'm not really that. It's a day to day. You know what? If I make the content and I put it out there, it's gonna grow because I think that the message that I put out there, people will get behind, and at some point, it's gonna keep growing. Um, I'd love to hit 10K subs this year. I'd love to hit 10K on Instagram. I'd love to hit 15K on TikTok. But if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm just working to get better little by little. See what works content wise for me. Like I said, I know and I've learned it. Like some people are unfollowing, unsubscribing because I'm not doing just card content,
Mm.
but a good majority are sticking around.
Yeah.
And I lose followers every day, but I gain followers every day because I'm bringing in a new audience. I'm trying new things out. I'm not just doing the card thing. Like I said at the beginning, this is just like my stepping stone. I want to be in cards long term,
Mm-hmm.
but I also want to maybe sports is not everything I do all the time. Maybe I want to go into business at some point, have a business podcast, talk about business on the street with people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I view this as I'm getting my social skills a lot better. I mean you watched that first video. Me talking on camera is way better now than it was 2 years ago. And 2 years after this it's going to get better. I used to not be able to talk to as many girls in public. Now I'm pretty good at it. I used to not be able to talk to people in public. Now I'm a lot better at it. So
Mm-hmm.
just improving these skills, and then at some point maybe there's an opportunity to go work at a company. Maybe I keep doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what'll come across my plate. I've had some interesting opportunities, people emailing me where I'm like, "No," or maybe I'm like, I'll take a call for that, see what that's about. But I don't know what's coming this year. I don't know what's coming next year, but we'll see where it goes.
Well, thank you for taking my DM and call to be on the podcast. You were excellent for doing that. How about so as we wind down here, and this has been riveting. I love this interview so much. What are your goals for like being in the hobby? I mean, I'm sure like again, national is like a stone's throw away from you. But when it comes to just like dealing, oh, what, we might have to talk a little bit more about the local card show while I have you. But yeah, what are
Yeah.
your goals for within the hobby and specifically cards for this year and beyond?
So I would have probably not said this like 3, 4 months ago, but like yesterday, just going to SneakerCon, like we need to get like I know this is hot take, we need to get more girls in the hobby. I want to see more girls at
Mhm.
shows. I want it to be more cool. I want it to be like, I don't want it to be the nerdy thing that you go to school like, oh, I've got my cards. My goal is to make cards cool. Make
Mm.
cards like something that you like. When I was at my buddy's graduation party yesterday, I'm bragging about that I sell cards for a living. Where I
Mm.
used to just be like in a corner, like not wanting to tell anybody, like yeah, I sell cards, like whatever. Now it's like I sell cards. It's cool. Like I've got a game used LeBron patch. I got this. I got that. So make cards cool again would be like my one thing that I really want to do in the hobby. And then the one thing that I'm like chasing to get at some point right now, it's just not attainable because I'm just doing so much flip, 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 flip.
Mm.
My mom is from Greece, so I've
Mm.
become a very big Giannis fan, and my goal is to attain some sort of Giannis RPA and some sort of Jackie Robinson rookie of that sort. I'd like the Leaf rookie, but I'll take anything low grade, whatever. At some point, those are my two big goals in the hobby. At some point,
I love it. That's awesome. And gosh, so much to talk about that I didn't even get into. But my first two guests, I did kind of like talk about their. I requested some more information about like what got them into the hobby and their childhoods. You are 22, so it won't be hard for you to remember what got you into collecting. So before we kind of talk about the local shows and the scene over in that area, um just doesn't have to be brief. It doesn't matter. Like it's a podcast. It's gonna be long form. Whoever's listening,
whatever.
like yeah, it's free. Y'all just chill. But no, can you tell me like your relationship with like were your parents supportive of you as a kid collecting? Like what age? I remember earlier you did mention the age you started, but like just bring me back to that time when you were like in elementary school collecting.
Yeah, so I remember like my first cards were like 2007 Tops and 2007 Tops Chrome,
Hmm.
football, baseball, and then I started ripping packs from Toys R Us, and then, I had a family member that just gave me all of his old cards. I would read the stats, I'm like, "What's an RBI?" And I'd read what
Hmm.
an RBI is, and I started, "Oh, who's got the most RBIs of all time? Who's got the most home runs of all time?" He had 31 home runs that year, he had 34 home runs that year. So learning the stats thing and then trading at school.
Hmm.
Man, I got probably fleeced so many times at school from kids. And I was doing Pokemon back there. I was trading
Pokemon.
my Charizards for Squirtles, and I never should
Oh
have made those
no.
trades. But that that's that's mainly how I got started. And then I started going to like shows and shops and probably like 2012, 2013.
Hmm.
Um, I I didn't grow up very wealthy. My parents were divorced. I didn't have much money, and I would just go sometimes just watch my friends rip,
Hmm.
and go and just see that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I enjoyed being around people that were talking about sports because yeah, like you could do it at school, but once
Hmm.
you're out of school, like you're just sitting at home playing Xbox with your buddies. But
Yeah.
going to the shop, it was like, listen, I've always liked talking to older people and having older perspectives because my younger generation, it's just like, all right, we playing Xbox tonight? Like, are we doing this? It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want that. So
I actually put in my show notes here that I thought from your content that you did seem like an old soul. Like really, I
yeah.
put that in here. I'm not gonna show it to you like like here it is, but um I really get that sense from you that you are like wise and mature beyond your years. I mean, again, I didn't know how old you were. I thought you were older, but like just that, like wow, like it is so impressive. So going back to 10 years ago, like 2012, 2013, like I'm not trying to elicit like, hey, tell me about your parents divorcing, but did you collect with your mom or dad or like other family members? Like you mentioned, you had a sister. Like, did you collect it within the family?
No, so all my collecting was my buddy Kyle, who we basically he went to a different high school than me. He played hockey, so he got a scholarship to go play hockey somewhere. But we
Hmm.
grew up like we went to school together from like probably kindergarten, and then we're still friends to this day. But his
Awesome.
dad started bringing us to shows,
So
and
he would.
then I remember we went to the National when it was in Chicago, and then we've got this like
Mhm.
I think it's called the Chicago Sports Spectacular. It used to be called the Sun Time Show, so we would go to that,
Mhm.
and he would rip. I would rip sometimes when I get like money for my birthday, or if that's why like I mainly started working when I was younger. When I was like 14, 15, I got a job. So I'm like, oh, I want to rip packs, or I want to go buy stuff that I can flip, and um just seeing that experience. We mainly ripped hockey back then, but ripping some baseball too. It was just it was a crazy time. Like nothing like the value was cool,
Mhm.
but it was like, oh, like we opened Black Diamond and like why are these patches not game used? Like this sucks. Like I don't want to open this stuff anymore. Like we're not
Yeah.
opening this anymore.
Yeah,
And then like,
yeah.
ooh, this patch is sick. Like thinking that this rookie's gonna be something and really turns into nothing, but the patch is sick, so we're going
Mhm.
crazy.
Mhm.
So I mean, I could give you a million stories when we were kids just ripping packs or
Mhm.
going through boxes. Just what was cool back then to me, still a lot of the stuff that I buy, I buy all like my family friends, college roommates at Indiana were like Tevin Coleman, Jordan Howard, Cody Latimer. So I'll pick up any of their cool like laundry tags or autos that I find anymore.
Nice.
So like that stuff is my nostalgia. It's not worth
Mhm.
anything to anybody anymore, but to me, it's priceless, honestly.
That's so awesome. And you mentioned about how you would read the backs of the cards. I mean, people were kids were reading, it's stats, it's numbers, it's the reading comprehension. I feel like so much is not emphasized with the backs of cards. And when it comes to patches and autos, we all know the back, all it says is Panini guarantees or Upper Deck guarantees this. And there's nothing with patch. Again, well, there's like relics and patches. I won't even get into that whole thing. But there is just less of a back. There's no emphasis on the back of the card when it comes to those hits, the
No.
autos and the relic cards. So the backs of the cards, I mean, that brings me back too. So okay, so as we wrap up, I did want to ask, you did set up as a dealer today. We're recording on a Sunday. You mentioned the name, and I gotta say, another place that you've mentioned in the past in your videos that you go to is Orland. And I keep thinking
Orland, yes.
Orland. I keep thinking Orlando, and I'm like, I know he's not from Florida. Why am I reading this wrong? So Orland and Schambach,
Schaumburg. So
Schomburg.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
tell me, like, how much does it cost to set up as a dealer there? Is it 8 foot by 3 foot tables or 6 foot by 3 foot tables? Is there admission fees? Kind of like, just if you could kind of like walk us through how the show scene is in Schaumburg and Orland.
So I don't set up at Orland much. I set up at Schaumburg every month. I've
Hmm.
got a couple shows that I set up whenever the show comes. I've got one show in Wisconsin and Madison that I'll sometimes set up at.
Oh wow.
I've got one show in Rockford that I'll sometimes set up at. But I've mainly been walking a lot recently.
Okay.
Today's table in particular, it's $40 a table. They're 8 foot
Hmm.
tables. He
Hmm.
gets a good amount of walkthrough. It's no admission to come in, which is amazing because I mean, you bring your kids. I mean, usually it's like it's a buck to get in, and it's
Hmm.
really not a big deal. But if
Hmm.
it's your first time, you're in the area, you hear about the show, you see the sign. Hey, it's free to get in. Might as well check it out. Maybe I
Hmm.
buy something, maybe I don't. If I don't, I just wasted some time, and sometimes a Sunday is just time to waste for people, and it's just fun time for individuals and
Hmm.
families.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you see these shows like charging like 15-20 bucks to get in, like I know the
Hmm.
big Chicago show is like 15 bucks to get in every day.
Hmm.
It's like, well, if you're not going there to buy something or if you don't have something and you're just going for fun,
Hmm.
maybe it's not worth it for you.
Yeah.
Maybe the local show is just a good way to dip your toe in.
Right.
Um, but this Schaumburg show is, I want to say, 70 tables. It's a lot
70.
of
Okay.
people that you deal with every weekend. A lot of the same people I deal with on Instagram almost every week.
Hmm.
And that's why I say relationships are so key, because a lot of these guys I'm making the deals with all the time. I Jason, Alex, Terrence. I mean, I could go name off tons and tons of people that I made deals with today, that I made deals with last week, the week
Hmm.
before, and it's all about relationships. He buys it here. He knows a guy that he can move it to for X. and I'm
Mhm.
cool with it because I bought it for Y and I made money. So you
Mhm.
keep that relationship going. You're going to see him at the next show. And that's why if you burn a bridge, you can burn so many other bridges while you're at it. And we're in
Mm.
such a small space that it's so easy for things to go around and so easy for things to be heard.
I hope the people who have listened all the way through have learned appreciate how much they've learned, because I know I've learned a lot. And some of the stuff I've known, like keep the good relationships and all that, but like you've provided so much clippable information that I feel like I can just I'm doing my best to not oversaturate. I've talked about this with my first two guests where I'm like, I don't know how much to put out there, and I don't want to like, I want to try to promote and market the podcast, not certainly not for any monetary reason, because this is all just like for fun, but to kind of, like, I want people I want you to know that I appreciate you so much, and I want a lot of people to listen to this, because I really feel like there's stuff that we've talked about today that I just don't there's so many good uh podcasts and hobby content out there. I just don't feel like a lot of this is talked about. So I really appreciate the insights you've given, the vulnerability that you've shown today. And I hope you had some fun, because I know for me, like we're over an hour and 30 minutes here, but this was a blast to me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like first thing, clip as much stuff as you want. I really have no. I mean, one thing that I would suggest to anybody in podcasting, I'm not a podcaster, but maybe like, all right, I've got 3 episodes out right now, and I'm gonna drop this new episode. I'll take a clip and cut it from there, and then I'll take a clip from podcast one, drop that the next day. Podcast two, drop that the next day. Go back to podcast three, drop another clip there. So drop as much stuff as you can. The worst thing that, I mean, someone's like, all right, maybe I don't like this guy. Then they keep scrolling. Like, that's not a big deal.
It's
Most of
true.
the people are not just like, all right, I'm going to unfollow. Like, drop as much stuff as you can, put as much out there, because the one thing that I always think about, it's it's hard for people to digest an hour and 40-minute conversation. It's easy for them to digest a 90-second clip. It's
Right.
easy for them. All right, I'm going to stop scrolling right here. I'm going to watch this clip. It came up in my feed. I could watch it real quick. And then it could lead to, all right, I'm going to go watch the full podcast. All right, I'm going to go watch
Right.
this full YouTube video.
Right.
It's not, I never have I never fault people for putting too much content out. Maybe sometimes it's like, all right, that's a little overkill, man. But if it's good content, why not drop it?
Right, and I think this was great content, and but of course I'm gonna be very biased, but you have been an awesome guest. Thank you so much. Again, third guest in the Car Diary by Hobby S. Thompson. You, I reached out to you. You took a chance on me, and it's not. And I said this in my intro part, but I don't think it's anything from me. I think it's just folks like you who are just so kind with your time and just generous with your knowledge. So I really got to say thank you again. And, to folks listening this far, thank you as well. Any last words you want to say?
Just thank you so much for having me on, giving me a platform. I think that you are just a really, really good talker, and I think that you're going to be able to grow this really well. And I said you come in with a different perspective than a lot of people in the hobby. I think like someone like me that's going to shows every weekend, I've got a different perspective than you, and I've got a different perspective than a lot of people in the hobby. But once again, really appreciate you having me on. Hope to be asked to be had on again. Maybe we'll talk about another collection I buy or some sort of other content that I'm making. And really do appreciate it.
Yeah,
And thanks again.
my pleasure. And really, your story is just beginning, and I am so excited for you. So thank you again, Nick.
Thank you so much. Have a good one, everybody.
Take care.